What would you do if you saw a strange craft approach you? What would happen if it left a mysterious burn mark on you? Do you think anyone would believe your tale? Let's look into the Falcon Lake incident. Welcome back to Histories and Mysteries. Today we have a UFO one, so that's pretty interesting, but anyway, let's just get on to it. Stephen Michalak, I don't speak Polish, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm so sorry, lived in Winnipeg, Canada at the time of the incident. He liked to go down to Falcon Lake in order to search for quartz and silver. On May 20th, 1967, he went down to look for some quartz at Falcon Lake and was startled by a flock of geese. Flock of geese? What is it called? What's like the plural? Isn't like, it's some weird word. I'll put it here somewhere, but anyway. He saw two cigar-shaped objects floating in the sky. One of them shifted into a disc and landed not far from where he was. He eventually walked up to it and saw that it was made of some kind of shiny metal or reflective glass. He claimed that the color would shift between gray and red, and it smelled like sulfur, and he could hear the motor from inside. He heard two voices coming from inside the craft and claimed them to be human. He tried to speak to them in a few different languages, but they gave no response. He entered into the craft and saw a bunch of glowing lights and panels, but no figures to be seen. He left because he noticed how hot it was getting. A grid was revealed, and hot gas was shot out at him, catching his clothes on fire. After the event, Stephen was nauseous and sick, and looked drunk stumbling upon the streets. A police officer told him to go get some help, but the local doctor was out of town. He decided to take the bus back to Winnipeg, and went to the ER. He had burns on his chest matching the grid that he was describing, coming from an exhaust pipe. He continued to have problems with headaches and weight loss and other problems for a very long time. The Mayo Clinic considered him to be sane, and the symptoms possibly coming from radiation poisoning. However, the test turned out to be negative. His burn marks would disappear and then reappear, but he never got fully over the strange illness and died in 1999. Stephen never claimed that there were aliens, it was just a UFO. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that just because it's a UFO, it doesn't mean it's aliens. A UFO is a unidentified flying object. That could be anything, really. He thought it was a government experiment. That's what he thought it was, and he went out to check on it. I just want to get out there that people need to understand, just because it's a UFO does not mean it's an alien. He actually regretted telling the story because he didn't like all the media attention he was getting, and people basically thought he was a lunatic. Just after the event, the Canadian government wanted to do an investigation into the situation. The Royal Canadian Air Force and the U.S. Air Force and some Canadian departments aided in the search. They initially thought Stephen had been drunk, but later concluded the results to be inconclusive. They made sure to emphasize that Stephen couldn't explain the burns on his body. There was also a 15-foot circle of burnt vegetation in the area, as well as a lot of high radiation levels. Some thought he was a drunk and just burned himself by accident. Some thought it was a government cover-up. Some think the skin lesions were from an allergic reaction of some kind. I don't really know what happened, but I think I can trust the Canadian government's findings and having, like, they didn't lie about the crop circle. Well, here we go with the UFO again. Or the radioactive material in the area. The U.S. government, a little bit more suspicious, because why would they get involved if this is in Canada? What are they trying to hide? But the crop circle and the radiation is really interesting. Of course, a lot of people think of this as having to do with aliens. This is even sometimes called the most documented UFO case ever. But again, just because it's UFO doesn't mean it's aliens. It could be a government craft, something that the U.S. government was trying to hide. So I don't really know what happened. I think that I'm leaning my suspicion a little more towards the U.S. government rather than aliens. But you can leave your answer in the comments below. No? Okay. So, sorry this was extremely short, and it took extremely long time for this to come out. It's been, like, what? A month since I posted one of these? I'll be real with you, I was just a little lazy. I kind of do not enjoy the research script writing process. I think I did more for especially Boxer Rebellion, because that's something that I do legitimately find interesting, and it was difficult for me to find a mystery that seemed interesting enough for me to cover. This one I just like, ooh, it has UFO, I'll try it, and then I was like, this is boring as freak. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think the next one is going to be long. Now it's going to be history, and I'm probably going to be more interested in that. I do want to do at least 10 episodes for a season. If I do more, I do more. If I don't, I don't. But it is just an experiment that is overall fun. So thank you for watching this garbage video. I'm so sorry. I hope you learned something about this weird case. I actually got a lot of good feedback of my previous video of the interview. So thank you for watching that. I really appreciate all of the words that I got from that video. It was really cool. It was a really cool idea. My best performing video in a long time, which is fine. I don't really care. I do this mostly for myself, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, until next time.